Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Deep Into Sleep. I'm Dr. Yishan, a sleep psychologist. I don't want to get into politics, but I do want to talk about politicians' sleep problems. For example, our current president, Joe Biden, he was diagnosed as sleep apnea. Is he treating it? Is he using his CPAP machine? Maybe, maybe not. But what we observed is he falls asleep in such an important debate meeting. That's very rare for someone with normal sleep. But for someone with sleep apnea, excessive daytime sleepiness, including falling asleep or feeling really sleepy during important meetings or when you drive, it's a very normal symptom. Then look at Donald Trump. Actually, there was a research paper really analyzed his Twitter posts, try to understand his sleep patterns based on how much and how late he's posting and interact with people constantly on Twitter. So they basically make the assumption Donald Trump possibly sleep only about 4 to 5 hours per night. So he may not get enough sleep. But there's another possibility is he is a healthy, natural, short sleeper. That means some people are born to just need 4 to 5 hours of sleep per night, but most people are not like that. So if he actually needs more sleep, but he's not allowing himself to get those much sleep, so he's sleep depriving himself, and that may impact his overall health and his cognitive functioning. Also, when Donald Trump went to court years back, he fell asleep on the court. So some sleep doctors analyzed this online and published their thoughts to talk about Donald Trump is at high risk of developing sleep apnea if he does not already has it. Because his neck is kind of thick, his age is also older, and considering this falling asleep on such important events like being on the court, it's possibly a reasonable doubt. What can you do about sleep apnea? Is CPAP the only option? According to our today's guest, Dr. Kevin Smith, CPAP is not the only treatment option. There are a lot of other things you could do before considering a CPAP machine. A lot of people don't feel like they sleep well, the poor quality of sleep at night.
Let's use our president for an example. President Biden. He has a very important debate, 90-minute debate. He's practicing up at Camp David. He's traveled overseas a couple times, a month or two before that. He was diagnosed with sleep apnea in 2008. He was put on a CPAP mask, I think the last few years. If you look at him, he isn't obese, so we're not really worried about crowding of the tissues per se. But when I look at him, if he does have sleep apnea, you certainly want to put more weight on examining the nose and the throat. I mean, he's a thin guy, but he's struggling with sleep apnea. And he might have damaged his nose, growing up if he was active in sports or whatever, had a car accident, who knows. But it's imperative before when he was put on his mask, I could see the imprint of the mask on his face. I said, okay, he's using it. But then lately, I haven't seen the imprint of the mask. That tells me he's not using it. And he might be uncomfortable. This is what I'm speculating, of course. It's all speculation. But I have always thought that he needs somebody to check his nose and throat, fix that, me, and get him breathing better and sleeping better, because you got the clue when he said afterward that he almost fell asleep during the debate. Now here he is, president of the United States of America, with a very important debate, and he almost fell asleep. Why? Because he was sleep deprived. This is why people are sleepy during the daytime. Over and over for a few days or a few weeks or a few months, when you don't get good deep sleep, every day is worse than the day before. And what you're doing is you're really on a long drawn out spectrum, you're dying a slow death. You and I both, if we were sleep deprived for 2-3 weeks, would have performed the same way. And it does affect your cognition. So before he gets a neurological exam, with a neurologist, it would certainly be important to make sure that the sleep apnea is corrected. Now you get a true baseline of his cognition. And I just use him as an example. I speculate that, but he does have the diagnosis. And he's been put on a mask. And just like I see in all my other patients, I'm sure he'd be no different. you'd be no different. You just need to fix the root cause, the nose and the throat, and you probably see a big change in his cognition and his personality.
Yeah, I know in his debate, his performance was really not liked by many people, and sounds like he
No,
really suffered. And I
yeah,
like what you mentioned. This kind of sleep deprivation was caused by a sleep disorder. It's
yes,
not that we purposely not allow ourselves to sleep, but we
right,
actually sleep. We possibly sleep a long hour, but
yeah,
the sleep quality is super poor
hmm
because of a sleep disorder like sleep
exactly.
apnea.
You don't get into that deep REM sleep, and I hear from my patients who have been corrected with my procedure that now they're dreaming, they're
Mm,
sleeping longer, they don't wake
right.
up frequently during the night, they have energy in the morning, they feel rested in the morning, they're happier, their depressive state has gotten better. They have more excitement about life, they perform better at work, they're not having to take naps during the day, they don't fall asleep when they're driving, they're not falling asleep at work. And so overall, the quality of life is just improved immensely when you get to the root cause and you fix the root cause and you get people back to sleeping well.
I also want to clarify when people have sleep apnea, sometimes just quickly put them on CPAP. Sounds like may or may not work. CPAP is considered as some kind of golden standard right now. No matter what the root cause is, even, for example, people have nose problem, nasal airway problem, and structure problem, and they just go ahead and use CPAP. Can that still help them somewhat, or
Yes.
in certain situations it may just waste of time?
No, if they use it, certainly it's going to help.
Mm,
If you can get air past the obstruction or the partial obstruction and you can help the lungs inflate so that there's oxygen circulating and they're not holding their breath for those 10 or more seconds, 30 more times a night, it has to help. No, I don't want to give anybody the impression that it doesn't help. It's just in those people who find it difficult to use or they don't use it like they should and they're not getting the help and they don't know where to turn. See, put yourself in the patient's shoes. Okay, I'm using my CPAP. I used it for a month. After a while, it didn't feel good. I just don't like the sound, the hissing sound. It's just cumbersome. I feel like I'm suffocating. And when I suffocate, I take it off. I put it back on. I try to use it. By the time I wake up in the morning, it's off. And they don't even know they've taken it off. And those people, those are the ones that are just not getting any benefit from it. And even if I did my procedures and they still needed it, now the pressure doesn't have to be so high to overcome that obstruction. You turn the pressure down, the sound is less, the pressure's less, it's easier to use, it's not forcing air in, it's just gently assisting them as they sleep when they need it. And I would think that those people would then be more compliant with using a CPAP mask because now it's being used at a much lower pressure that's much more comfortable. There's varying degrees. Some people love their CPAP machine. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good machine. It's wonderful to have it. But from my standpoint, in between getting diagnosed with sleep apnea and getting a CPAP machine, let's get a CAT scan of the sinuses, see an ENT that understands it thoroughly and that can fix whatever the problems are, and then see if you need it. If you do need it, you go get it. And then you're set. You're set. You're sleeping good, feeling good, resting well, more energy, losing weight.
I talked before on my podcast. If you are concerned about possible sleep breathing problems, you really need to go to a sleep center, get a sleep study done. I had other videos talk about at-home sleep study, what that look like. So now it looks like there are actually a lot of hope and a lot of different options for us to really treat sleep apnea. And we need to dig deep to find the root cause. Again, remember, sleep is such an individualized thing. You have to find what works for you and understand what's happening to you, what's the reason behind it, and then tailor the treatment to your need. I really hope today's episode is helpful to you. Leave a message down below. Let me know how you think. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm Dr. Yishan. I will see you next time. Bye.